The trouble with Trump, well, basically, he lies about everything. About his wives. His whole family is shrouded in deception, I guess you might say. If you go and look into his family tree, you'll see a lot of them go to dead ends. There's been people that's done research on it and found that there's a lot of name changing and changing a letter in it to hide the fact that they're actually Jewish. I'll start off with an article out of crushtheserpent.com. Is Donald Trump Jewish? Why take a look into the Donald Trump family tree? Does it matter if he's a crypto Jew? I think the American people have the right to know who's our president with full disclosure. Let's take a look into Trump family tree. I began to wonder if Trump was a crypto Jew when I noticed that his three oldest children marrying Jews, practicing Judaism. Son Donald Jr. marries Vanessa Hayden, daughter of Ivanka, converts to Judaism to marry Jared Kushner, and son Eric has an extravagant Jewish wedding when he marries Laura Yanoska. So I did a little digging. What did I find? First I searched, what is Donald Trump's original name? Well, that's pretty well out in the public now. Anyway, that was Drumpf, D-R-U-M-P-F. Drumpf is a German name and was angelicized during World War I to the English equivalent Trump. In link 2, you'll read the Wikipedia article on Donald Trump's grandfather, Frederick Trump. His story is told on how he came to America, became somewhat wealthy, returned to Germany, was married and returned to America, and had 3 children while living in New York. So, to this point, it looks like Trump is of German descent. But lo and behold, what does Wiki article on Frederick Trump reveal? Frederick's mother's name was Katrina Kober. Immediately I realized that Donald Trump's great-grandmother is probably Ashkenazi Jew. Is it possible Donald Trump is a crypto Jew? Looking at his father, Frederick Trump, it appears that his name that he went by was Trumpf. So there's another changing or misspelling or misdirection of the name that is Trump's family name. In this, I find it a little interesting. It's in a Wikipedia of all places, but it talked about how, as a kid, the Trumps had lived in a Jewish community and claimed that they were Swedish because at that time Germans weren't too well liked. Yeah, Fred Trump was in all kinds of stuff. He was another dirtbag, profiteering. He was investigated by the U.S. Senate Committee, Senate Banking Committee, all kinds of stuff. He defaulted the FHA, all kinds of crap, but typical kind of dirtbag. As you make yourself available to the research, you'll discover that Trump's family is by and large Jewish. 2 out of 3 of Trump's wives are Jewish for sure. Let's look at Ivana, the mother of his 3 oldest children. Ivana Trump was born Ivana Marie Zelnikova. She was from the Czech Republic. She was an athlete. That's pretty much given. But in this, even that's a bunch of lies. They claim that she was supposed to be in the 1972 Olympics. Her statement was questioned for legitimacy. Around this time, she married her first husband, blah, blah, blah. Eventually migrated to Canada, worked as a ski instructor. But let's go to look at her bio. In her bio, it is sometimes said that Zelnikova was selected as an alternative Czechoslovakian team during 1972 Winter Olympics. Her specialties were being downhill and slalom. However, in 1989, Peter Panasny, Secretary General of the Czech Olympic Committee, said, "Who is this Ivana woman, and why do people keep calling about her? We have searched so many times and consulted many, many people. There is no such woman on our record. More lies. It probably was bolstered by Trump because he likes to have all that ego crap going on. But at any rate, we'll dig a little further here. The oldest three children of Donald Trump were brought into this world by Jewish mother Ivana Zelnikova Trump, and thus are Jewish by birth. They didn't convert from anything. Donald Trump Jr. marries a Jewish woman, Vanessa Hayden. They have 5 children. Some might not know that, but Vanessa's grandfather, from her mother's side, is Kai Ewens, a Danish jazz musician. She is of mixed ethnicity. Her paternal grandmother and grandfather were Austrian and Russian heritage, respectively, both Jewish immigrants. Her mother is, however, Danish ancestry. So what I kind of wonder is, what is the big fetish by Trump to have all these Bolshevik Jewish wives? Second wife, Melania Knaus Trump, supermodel from Slovenia. Melania's father, Viktor Knaus, was a leader of Slovenia Communist Party. His mother, Amelia Elknick, was Jewish. Look, they scrubbed Melania really good. Any links that go into her history have been wiped. Melania grew up in communist Yugoslavia and speaks 5 languages: Slovene, English, French, Serbian, and German. Melania was raised in the concrete tower block, then Yugoslavia, during the Marshal Joseph Tito. It goes on that they may think of her as a mediator between U.S. and Russia. Here's a couple lines out of the Week.uk. Her native Slovenia wants to help U.S. relations with Russia. Melania's home country appears to believe that her rise in the White House could be an opportunity to increase its own standing in the world. Tiny Slovenia, with its population of 2 million, has positioned itself as a possible mediator between U.S. and Russia. Russia President Vladimir Putin, who rarely makes trips to Western states, has visited Slovenia twice, and the two nations have a comfortable relationship with one another. Prime Minister Miro Cerar told Associated Press last year, if the United States and Russia give some initiative in this way, Slovenia could become a bridge between the two powers. Donald Trump's soft spot for Russia may mean Slovenia's services are not required. However, Cerar said he spoke with Melania on the phone following Trump election victory. Both chatted in their native tongue. She then passed the phone to her husband, added the prime minister, and their conversation touched very briefly on the possibility of Slovenian mediation efforts, although there was no specific statement about that. In an interview with CNN, Melania insists that she isn't shy when it comes to giving her husband political advice. I give him my opinion many, many times, she told CNN. I'm already creeped out by this guy being president in the first place. Basically, I'm seeing this guy as the wolf in sheep's clothes, really. But at any rate, we all know that he's definitely their pick. It's pretty evident that he's Jewish. He's got communist and Bolshevik Jews in his office, his family, the whole enchilada. Well, we're going to get into some other stuff now, so just buckle up. Here we go. Those of you that's been following my work know that I've mentioned about how Trump has plenty of 9/11 criminals and conspirators either involved directly in his campaign. Some of them are actually even in his White House staff now. Going back to during his campaign, we had Michael Glassner, who was basically the head of AIPAC, but prior to that, he was working for Louis Eisenberg of the New Jersey, New York Port Authority, who helped Larry Silverstein get the 99-year lease contract on the Trade Center. Of course, we all know that Rudy Giuliani, he was an actual 9/11 criminal by destroying crime scene evidence by means of having all this iron and whatnot shipped off to China without it being investigated or tested or anything like that. Well, there was no investigation on 9/11. So, and Trump says he's going to possibly do some kind of a 9/11 investigation. I call bullshit on that. What I want to go into now is about how not only Trump parrots all the bullshit about the 9/11 crime as being Muslims. Well, we all know that anybody that pays attention knows that on 9/11 and prior to 9/11, I think it was 140 arrested Mossad spy ring that was busted prior to 5 dancing Israelis that were celebrating and filming the incident were arrested. They were known Mossad agents who were arrested, then released and snuck out of the country, were on Israeli national TV talking about how they were sent there to document the event. But yet Trump still wants to call them Arabs. Okay? So this guy, we're big shit with him, but I want to stay on point with this blaming Arabs thing that Trump does. Now, we know that there's been a issue with, it's basically Israeli propaganda about Iran wanting nukes. But before I go into this, I want to make a clear statement. Iran has never been really a sponsor of terror. They have not had a war of aggression in like 270 years. There's a huge Jewish population living in Iran that wants nothing to do with going to Israel, don't want anything to do with Israeli politics. Iran was perfectly fine until 1952 or 3, whatever it was, when the CIA and British intelligence overthrew the Shah of Iran and installed a U.S., British, Western puppet so that they could steal their oil. It's been Israel that's been putting out this bullshit about Iran nukes, going back quite far, and their biggest bloated mouth about it all is actually Benjamin Netanyahu, little New York Jew that worked directly for Rothschilds. Well, he's still working for Rothschild. We're going to go into this and give you a little timeline on all this bullshit. Is the threat of an Iranian nuke real or just propaganda? While there's been a lot of talk about Iranians actually producing a nuclear device, what is even more amazing is the rhetoric hasn't changed in nearly 2 decades by Israel's president, Benjamin Netanyahu. Even our own government doesn't know whether Iran is even working on a nuclear weapon, but have offered similar speculation. Well, that is the Jews. That's from 1995. A serious threat of nuclear war hangs over Israel's Likud leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, told Knesset Plenum yesterday. Only a handful of MKs and no ministers were present to hear Netanyahu warning that Iran will be capable of a nuclear weapon within 5 years. Within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb without having to import either the technology or the material, Netanyahu said. The nuclear threat must be uprooted by international front headed by the U.S. Its necessities economic sanctions on Iran. So that right there is just admitting that the economic sanctions to weaken Iran as a country and as a whole is really a war crime, and it's coming directly from Israel. In 1997, experts said Iran was 8 to 10 years out for actually acquiring a nuclear weapons. In fact, Iranian officials quoted as saying, yes, some say we must have an atomic bomb, but we can't afford it. Yeah, because they got all these sanctions. But at any rate, so the political consequences are much more terrible and it's expensive. Actually, it's against their religion as well, according to the Iranians themselves. Okay, here's some facts. In 1957, the United States signs a civil nuclear cooperation agreement with Iran. In 1958, Iran joins the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA. In 1967, the Tehran Nuclear Research Center, which includes a small reactor supplied by the United States, opens. In 1968, Iran signs the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. In the mid-1970s, the United States, backing Iran, begins developing a nuclear power program. In 1979, Iran's Islamic Revolution ends Western involvement in the country's nuclear program. Oh, by the way, that had to do with the Iran hostage situation, which was really brought on by the 50s deal where they had been under the rule of these Western puppets that they were brutal to the Iranians. So the college students had their way with them. Anyway, December 1984, with the aid of China, Iran opens a nuclear research center in Isfahan. February 23, 1998, the United States announces concerns that Iran's nuclear energy program could lead to the development of nuclear weapons. That's throwing out bullshit. March 14, 2000, U.S. President Bill Clinton signs a law that allows sanctions against people and organizations that provide aid to Iran's nuclear program. February 21, 2003, IAEA and Director General Mohammed El-Baradei visits Iran to survey its nuclear facilities and to encourage Iran to sign protocol allowing IAEA inspectors greater and faster access to nuclear sites. Iran declines to sign the protocol. El-Baradei says he must accept Iran's statement that its nuclear program is producing power, not weapons, despite claims from the U.S. To the contrary. In June 19, 2003, the IAEA issues a report saying that Iran appeared to be in compliance with the Non-Proliferation Treaty, but that it needed to become more open about its activities. In August 2003, the IAEA announces its inspectors in Iran have found traces of highly enriched uranium at the Natanz uranium enrichment plant. Iran claims the amounts are contaminated from equipment brought from other countries. Iran agrees to sign protocol of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty that allows unannounced visits to its nuclear facilities and signs it on December 18, 2003. October 2003, the foreign minister of Britain, France, Germany, and visit Tehran, and all parties agree upon measures Iran will take to settle all outstanding issues with the IAEA. Under obligation to the IAEA, Iran releases a dossier on its nuclear activities. However, the report does not contain information on where Iran acquired components for centrifuges used to enrich uranium, a fact that the IAEA considers important in determining whether the uranium is to be enriched for weapons. November 2003, Iran agrees to halt uranium enrichment as a confidence-building measure and accepts IAEA verification of its suspension. December 2003, Iran signs an additional protocol with the IAEA, voluntarily agreeing to broader inspections of its nuclear facilities. February 2004, A.Q. Khan, father of Pakistan's nuclear weapons program, admits to having provided Iran and other countries with uranium enrichment equipment. June, by the way, Pakistan is a nuclear weapons country, so Iran could be telling the truth most likely was. In June 2004, the IAEA states they have found traces of uranium that exceed the amount used for general energy production. Iran admits that it is important parts for advancing centrifuges that can be used to enrich uranium, but is used the parts to generate electricity. Well, the bottom line is that all this crap came from Israel. Let's see what the facts are about Israel. Israel is a nuclear armed nation. They refuse to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty Agreement. They actually ignore and thwart IAEA inspections and do not allow them whatsoever. They've been caught selling nuclear weapons and systems that they stole from the United States on the black market, and also gave weapon systems to Russia for Russia allowing Russian Jews to migrate to Israel. For those that follow what's going on over there in the Middle East, know that Israel, or I should say the owners of Israel, they want this greater Israel to take form. That was in a document called the Oded Yenin Plan. Prior to that, though, it was about the war on terror. That was Benjamin Netanyahu and his father, along with George Bush Sr. and other warmonger Israel firsters. This is all about political Zionism, where they basically want to reconfigure the Ottoman Empire after its fall during World War I. It looks at, by our history and maps, and since 9/11, every country that we've invaded has shown that to be true. I'll provide a map for that, and you can see the similarity between the Ottoman Empire and the invasions of U.S. on Israel's behalf. Then we got what was a clean break strategy for securing the realm. Well, it was about going after this. Because of 9/11, they wanted to have the authority to go in and do preemptive strikes, meaning they can just come and bomb you wherever they want. So they send in agents or groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, whatever they want to brand themselves as, into a country and play whack-a-mole with them. And currently they are in Syria, tearing that country up. Luckily, we have Russia that come in and seemingly want to help the Syrians, which is a good thing. But I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't even know if I want to trust that either. But at any rate, the last one on the list that General Wesley Clark presented on national television in 2003, talking about invading 7 countries in 5 years. Well, it's been 15 plus years since all this has been going on. On that list, Iran was the last one to be turned into another Iraq or Libya, in other words, just destroyed. Anyway, and they're working on Syria, and it looks like they're going to continue with that. My big issue, though, is that with Trump's barking, and the carnival barker, he probably will be the one to go after Iran. And because of treaties that Russia has with Iran, and the fact that China needs Iranian oil, this is where World War III will jump off. And I'm pretty certain that Trump's going to go after this. This is where we have big problems. That's enough out of me. You guys, peace. Wardo out.